Since I'm doing so well at balancing the books at the moment, I was thinking, let's fuck it up. Happy Friday! Welcome back to Drinking by Myself. My name is Emma, and today I have to go into town to run some errands, so I thought why not buy a ton of books while I'm there? We are fast approaching spooky season, and last year I really enjoyed reading a little bit of horror around Halloween, so I was thinking I should do it again, but I don't really have that much scary stuff in my house right now, so I'm going to visit all of the bookshops that I know of in Croydon and see what I can pick up. There are a couple of charity shops on my way into town, so I'll check those out first. I want to try Forbidden Planet because I think that could be fun, see if I can find like a creepy graphic novel. And then there's Waterstones, that can be my grand finale. I also ordered some super cozy loungewear that I'm going to go and pick up from Next and try on, so that can be part of our cute little haul as well. I think that sunny autumn days are like by far my favourite weather, when I can wear a jumper but not a coat, and sunglasses. Look at this! Okay, we're approaching our first charity shop, Hidden Gem. It was closed just today because of staff shortages, and I peered through the window and I could literally see a spooky looking book on display. That's fine. One down. There's another one up ahead. Also closed. I'm not having the best luck so far today. That one's actually closed down completely. Damn. I'm really sad about that BHF that closed down. I loved that place. I used to drop off all of my old books there until they literally told me to stop because they ran out of space and I gave them too many books. Success, thank God.
I look very carefully around me. There's a spectre hiding in the city. So watch your back, watch your back, watch your back, watch your back, watch your back. Watch your back, watch your back, watch your back, watch your back.
Okay, I bought a couple of books in there. I'll show you them all when I get back. I didn't get anything that was a graphic novel. I actually just got two like regular fiction books from that shelf. I found it a little bit overwhelming to find what I was looking for because it is like very full of like comics, you know, like Marvel style comics, which just isn't what I'm interested in. I was hoping that there would be a section where I could find things like things similar to Emily Carroll's, like standalone spooky graphic novels. That's what I was looking for, but basically it was just like all one wall, A to Z, so I'd have to search through all of the comics, and I tried, but it was just like, it was mostly superhero stuff, so it was really hard to like find anything when they're all so thin spines trying to find anything. So I got a little bit overwhelmed. I was in there for a good while, searched for a while, and then came out with just two regular novels. Next up, there is actually another discount bookshop I've just remembered, so I'm gonna go there next. I get to seriously dig around in there. There was a lot of utter shit in there, to be nice. But it was worth searching. I was in there for a while and I suddenly found two books I'm actually quite excited about for 50p each. So worth digging around through a lot of books that you would have to pay me to read.
I look very carefully around me. There's a spectre hiding in the city.
Oops. That's a very full bag of books. I got a little off track in Waterstones because the very nice bookseller came over. I was just looking for spooky stuff, but he just came over and started pointing at books that looked amazing and was like, these are the best I've read all year. So I ended up buying 8 books. And only some of them were spooky. And also the spooky ones, I struggled with that whole shopping trip. I wanted to find like ghostly Halloween-y books because that's the kind of thing I never read. But none of the shops I went to had sections for that. They just had thriller sections. So most of what I got was like scary in terms of being thrillers, not in terms of being haunting. But I got a couple that will fit. I'm on my way home now. I'm going to show you. This is my new cozy outfit I was picking up. I will be wearing this while I read all 12 books that I just bought. Okay, so that was 3 bookshops that I just went to, plus Next, where I picked up my new autumn uniform, and 12 books I think in total. Starting from Forbidden Planet, I picked up these two. So this is Dark Lullaby by Polly Ho Yen, A Handmaid's Tale for the Modern World. So it's about a dystopian world that's suffering an infertility crisis, and it's about a woman who has a baby and makes mistakes and is like faced with the possibility of having her baby taken away from her. So it just sounds like dystopian rather than spooky spooky. I nearly bought another one from this shop that had like very, very creepy doll heads on the cover. It was a similar theme. It looked terrifying, but it also looked quite bad, so I went for this instead. And this one I picked up because I've heard of it before. A Head Full of Ghosts by Paul Tremblay. This is an author who gets talked about quite a lot on BookTube, but I've never read before. This one does sound very scary. The descriptions on the back say, one of the most frightening books I've read this or any year. This is your worst nightmare in book form. Guaranteed to keep you up all night. Ooh. It's also about a reality TV show, which I'm kind of into, the idea of like a horror reality show. It's about a family whose teenage girl is either schizophrenic or possessed. That does sound like that could potentially be a problem area. Is this going to be just like an incredibly insensitive portrayal of mental illness? I'm not sure. I should look up some reviews. But she ends up becoming the star, or the whole family end up becoming the stars of a reality TV show about possession. And then that happened like 15 years ago. So now we're looking back on it. So it's like psychological horror. Then I went to the Works, where I dug through a ton of truly terrible looking books. They had shelves and shelves of books that were 50p each, which is amazing. But so many of them just looked god awful. I mean, each to their own. Every book has its reader. That reader was not me. But then I suddenly saw this. I just saw the spine sticking out. And I was like, I have this book on my Storygraph TBR. This is The Missing Years by Lexi Elliott. It's a thriller rather than a horror, but it's like set in an eerie Scottish manor in the middle of nowhere. So that sounds Halloween-y. And yeah, it's 50p. And this is a book that I was like planning to buy full price. I also saw this book, which I'd never heard of before, but this is called The Understudy. It's a novel written by 4 thriller authors. Sophie Hannah, I have always had frustrating reading experiences with, but I like her books, I just never like the endings. Holly Brant, I have not heard of. Claire McIntosh, I have loved a lot of her thrillers. And B.A. Paris, again, has been kind of Sophie Hannah-esque for me, but like enjoyable. So this is a book that they all wrote together. I didn't even read what it was about, I just knew I wanted to buy it. It's a creepy book set at a school. That's everything I need to know. There's an attempted murder, fantastic. And then finally I went to Waterstones, where I accidentally bought 8 whole books because the bookseller was just so nice and friendly. The first book I picked up was Luckin Booth by Jenny Fagan. So this one is about a haunting. So this looks perfect for my spooky reading. I mean, look at the shiny autumn leaves and also the creepy eye through the keyhole on the cover. Fantastic. It begins in 1910 in Edinburgh, when Jessie, who is the literal devil's daughter, arrives at this building. She's been sent by her father, reminder, who is the devil, to bear a child for a wealthy couple. But when things go wrong, she places a curse on the building and all who live there. And then we go over the next century and meet different characters who live in this building and how the curse affects them. I got The Honjin Murders by Seishi Yokomizo. I've heard a lot about this one. This is a classic detective novel that's recently been getting a lot of buzz. It's been translated from Japanese. I don't know if it only got translated recently, but it's not a new book in Japan. Yeah, okay, it won these awards in Japan in 1948, but it has never been translated into English until now. So that's why I've been hearing loads about it recently. So it's like Japan's Agatha Christie. I've never read a book by Jess Kidd before, but again, this is an author that gets talked about a lot on BookTube. This book is called Himself, so it looked like a spooky... I don't know if Jess Kidd always writes spooky books. I think she writes historical books. This one looked spooky. It's set between 1950, when a teenage girl is murdered but her baby survives, and then 1976, when a mysterious young man, I'm assuming we're supposed to think, or it is this baby, shows up looking for answers. I don't know if it has actual ghosts in it, but it does talk about forcing the village to give up its ghosts. Nothing, not even the dead, can stay buried forever. So I think it's going to be like ghostly atmosphere, even if not actual ghosts. This one I'm wary about, but I bought One by One by Ruth Ware. I have read all of Ruth Ware's books, I think, and I have liked none of Ruth Ware's books. But again, they're ones that I've kind of enjoyed enough, and then the ending has been rubbish. As they've got on, I think they've got worse though for me. I've liked them less and less. But one of my colleagues recently read this one and said that she thought it was fun and that I would enjoy it. And I have heard some people saying that this is the first time they've liked one of Ruth Ware's books. But I've heard people say that about every time Ruth Ware releases a new book. They said it about The Turn of the Key, and I read that and it was awful. They said it about the death of Mrs. Westaway, and that was even more awful. So I'm not convinced. And then the last of the spooky themed books I got was 8 Detectives by Alex Pavesi. I'm pretty certain it was Kayla who talked about this one a while ago, but it just sounds like a fun interesting detective novel, and having recently read The Appeal and loved it, I'm just looking for like kind of creative mystery novels. It sounds quite meta because it's about the fact that murder mysteries follow a set of rules, and it's about this professor turned author who worked out the rules and hid these secrets in a book of stories, and then he went missing. So it's like a murder within a murder, and it's got a cool little cutout cover. Hello. But then I've got 2 more books here. They don't fit the spooky theme, but I'm going to show you anyway. I've been wanting to buy Love in Colour for ages. It's a short story collection. It's retellings of love stories from history and mythology. And this is a lovely Waterstones exclusive edition. So it's got an extra essay in it, and it's got sprayed edges. So it's pretty. And then these were the 2 that the bookseller recommended to me. We've got This Mournable Body by Tsitsi Dangarembga. I've been wanting to read something by this author because she is on the Reading Women Challenge for this year. So I'm going to try and read this one before the end of the year. And then this one, Washington Black by A.C. Adugyan. I've heard of this one, but I would not have picked it up before. It's historical fiction, but the bookseller said it was like the best book he'd read all year. Washington Black is an 11-year-old field slave who is selected as personal servant to one of these 2 English brothers who've just taken over a Barbados sugar plantation. The guy that he's a servant to is this eccentric abolitionist, but his plans end up putting Washington in danger, and then they escape together. That actually sounds amazing. So there you go, a bunch of new books. Balancing the books this month is going to be difficult. I'm trying not to think about it or I will panic. But don't forget to subscribe so that you can see my progress reading all of these, and I'll see you next time.
I know it gives you thrills to be my spectator. If I could run faster, I'd still see you later. I don't think you understand that you're not my friend.